Hello, this is Dr. Dickinson, and this is Unit 3, New Technology. This lecture is part of TED 682, Instructional Technology course for the Clear Credential at National University. Our objectives for Unit 3 is to be able to analyze the usefulness and effectiveness of technology tools for classroom instruction. We should be able to apply technology tools and resources for communication, instruction, and professional development. And we'll be able to collaborate in a professional manner to plan and develop professional development for teachers. So when we're using technology tools in the classroom, we want to analyze the effectiveness of these tools. There's two major domains that we might look at in terms of the effectiveness for students. There's affective domains, which are the values, motivation, attitudes, stereotypes, or feelings, and cognitive domains, which is how well students can synthesize, recollect, comprehend, evaluate, and analyze. So when we're analyzing the effective of a tool, say we have a tool like Poplet, want to see how effective it is in terms of, do students enjoy using this tool? Is this something that they are motivated to do so that they're participating in the class? Want to see, is this useful in terms of comprehension? Maybe the objective of using Poplet is to recall the major parts of a story. So we can look at and analyze these tools within these two domains. And for effective domains, we might see how well are students persisting at completing this task. Whereas for cognitive domains, we might think about how well can they transfer using this tool into the core content areas. So how can we measure the effectiveness of tools? Okay, so think of action research here. We can collect data, different types of data. Might be a student reflection. That would be a type of cognitive or affective domain, depending on the types of questions we ask. We can also take some anecdotal records about a student's, maybe their time on task or how long they're engaged in an activity when they're using technology as opposed to when they're not using technology. Summative, informative assessments are good tools for cognitive domains and seeing how well students are achieving. We could even interview students. We could ask them questions about how much they enjoy the lesson. We could also use observation and make some notes about what we're observing when students are engaged in technology. And we can survey students as well. So some different ways that we can measure the effectiveness of technology tools. Remember, once we collect data, that'll help us to then modify our instruction. So some technology tools that you might find useful in terms of collecting some cognitive data collection. First is Google Docs and Tools. If you haven't had an opportunity to explore Google Docs and Tools, fantastic resources here, free. Google Docs will allow you to share and collaborate on a presentation. Similar to PowerPoint or a Word document. Quizlet, well, I've also used this in our course, is another tool that you can use to create multiple choice or open-ended questions for students. Quizstar, another tool for creating assessments. You can use survey and polling tools. With Google, there's Google Forms. That is a great way to make surveys. Presentation tools you can use to evaluate how well students are able to comprehend material. You could have students present on scientific experiments that they conducted. RubyStar is very helpful in terms of creating rubrics. So if you have project-based assessments, you want to evaluate students, you should create a rubric that would accompany the assessment. So that way students know what they're being evaluated on, how they're being evaluated, and what grade they received and why. And finally, Edmodo, which is a platform we talked about in our last unit, also allows you to create assessments that are assigned to students in your class. So, some technology tools for effective data collection that you might want to check out. Padlet, which we've been using here, is a whiteboard tool that allows students to post kind of like sticky notes on a virtual whiteboard. Students can use SurveyMonkey or Google Forms. You can create a survey for students, not just about how well they like something, but about a topic of choice, and they can respond. VoiceThread is another tool that allows students to really share their beliefs and values, as well as blogging. And then another tool that I really like is called Poll Everywhere. So you can create a poll. Students can respond to it anonymously by entering in a 4-digit sequence number. All right. Well, if you haven't had a chance to check out Google Apps, I strongly recommend it. There's some fantastic tools here that, again, they're free. They give you some functionality. Students can create accounts. A lot of schools and districts have accounts with Google. So document sharing, you can share your documents with Google Apps, and it's pretty simple. We'll look at that in a minute. Google Chat for virtual chat rooms. Blogger, which we've been using here to create a blog. Web page, similar to Blogger, but just gives you a little bit different functionality in terms of sharing information. Unlike Blogger, doesn't allow you to make comments, but you can embed a lot more HTML text and upload documents. Finally, if you haven't had a chance to try Google Hangouts, another kind of like Skype, it's another platform that will allow you to create a real-time virtual chat. And Google Plus, which is similar to Facebook, allows you to share a stream of information with people in your quote-unquote circles that you assign in order to share information. Alright, so if you haven't had a chance to check out Edmodo, I hope you do that. It's a very similar layout to Facebook. You have a picture, you're allowed to post comments. People can respond to your comments, share videos, share video or text, pictures, etc. Again, it gives you the functionality of creating quizzes and assigning those to students in your class. It records grades and also allows you to share documents. YouTube has recently launched what they call TeacherTube, which is a fantastic site. You just want to do a search for that and enter TeacherTube. Has some fantastic resources for integrating technology in the classroom. You can see videos of students and teachers presenting on different approaches, such as blended classroom or flipping the classroom. Gives you an opportunity to review content, so you'll see lessons that are also related to content standards and student presentations, etc. With the YouTube TeacherTube, you have the functionality of not just sharing video, but adding comments. So it's a great way to monitor students' progress. So if you are doing a flipped classroom approach, you might have them watch the video and then write 1 or 2 comments about what they saw, what they observed, what they learned. So it's a good way to hold students accountable in terms of making sure they are watching the videos, making sure they are getting access to the content. Alright, so Twitter. In this week's reading, we have 50 ways to use Twitter. Fantastic article. Yes, when you first get on, you're pretty much wondering what's the purpose, why do I need this? But it's a great tool to have. It's completely compatible with smartphones. So if you are using smartphones in the classroom, will allow you and your students to have a streaming feed of information for whatever people they quote-unquote follow. So as a classroom teacher, it gives you the functionality of sharing news, announcements, networking. If you're in a specific content area, say science for example, You could follow certain experts. So I know for myself, I follow Arnie Duncan, and I'm able to get some articles and news and events that he's posting from the Department of Education. So it's a great way to kind of just keep abreast of what's going on in areas that you're expected to have expertise. Twitter has also been used by classroom teachers to ask questions to students. You can poll your students; they can respond on their cell phone, and it can create a dialogue during your class lectures. All right, another tool that allows you to keep a running dialogue is called Today's Meet. And essentially, when students are listening to a lecture, they have a place where they can ask questions, share ideas, collaborate, poll, and share information with each other. So Today's Meet is another free tool that's popular with teachers. Now, before we plunge into some of the smartphone applications, there's been some research conducted here on the effectiveness of smartphones and how it is making a difference in students' learning. So we're going to talk about some different ways that you can use smartphones, but just read some of these facts here and think about what interests you. What did you find most surprising? What is your school policy for smartphones? And what are some different ways that you can integrate smartphones into the classroom instruction? One of the great things about smartphones is that everyone has one. So in terms of equity, most students have a smartphone. They have access to a smartphone. It's just a question of giving them some freedom to use it. And oftentimes I go into the classroom and I see students taking pictures of notes, taking pictures of classroom or video recording their lectures so that they can watch it later on to help understand their homework. It's a lot of functionality here. So different strategies that I've come across. For polling, you can use a web application called Poll Everywhere. Students can respond to a poll on their smartphone just by sending a text. Reading, we have applications like Kindle. Research on web browsers. Video and photo using tools like Instagram gives you a lot of functionality. You can change the landscape, coloring, background. Kids really enjoy that, and adults too. Students can record or lectures using an iTalk recorder. They can take notes using Evernote. And they can respond to questions posed by the teacher using a tool like Padlet. Now, as we move on, we want to think about some ways that we as teachers can increase our professional network. So one of the tools that I recommend is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn gives you the contacts. People can endorse you for skills. You can share publications or research or articles or blogs that you've created. It allows you to create groups or be involved in groups that are, of content area interest. Like, for example, I belong to several technology and education groups. And again, allows you to keep in touch with your contacts. So it's a great way to really just stay connected, keep connected, find jobs, resources, etc. that are of interest to you. Another tool that we'll look at is called Vizify, and that allows you to create a professional portfolio, if you will, with a web link. I add that to my signature file, my email, if you haven't seen that yet. Just to share some things that you're working on, what you're doing with those that you connect with on a professional level. Now, if you are using Facebook, or if you're interested in using Facebook, I'd recommend doing what is called a Facebook page. And with the page, you can share just work-related information. People can like. Comments are only posted based on your approval. and it allows a lot more restrictions in terms of a non-professional page. So you might want to check out Facebook, and when you're on there, create a page. So before we look at some websites, let's just review what to do in Unit 3. You'll want to read and watch all Unit 3 material strongly related to our lecture today, and it will give you some great ideas for your professional development presentation, as well as your Web 2.0 tools assignment that you're going to be working on this unit. Make sure that you meet with one of your classmates at least for a real-time discussion about what you're planning on doing for your professional development presentation. For your first assignment in this unit, you'll create a Prezi of some web tools that you'll review. Be sure to check out the rubrics and the criteria for that. You respond to a voice thread of your blogging experience. And finally, you'll create a professional development presentation that you'll share with your colleagues. So you'll want to check out those data collection tools that I went over in this unit's presentation to collect some data based on how satisfied your participants were in the professional development presentation. All right, so let's just really quickly look at some applications here. So our website. So we have Vizify, which is www.vizify.com. Very simple and easy to use. You can share pictures. There's me and my little man. Some information about where you live. Where you went to school. Oops. Career information. And formal education, etc. So you can edit this and share what you'd like to share if you're interested in creating a Vizify account. And the Facebook Pages account here, sharing pictures. I like to share events about what's happening at our center, where it is. That way any students can come to our event and know information about that, so that'd be really useful as a classroom teacher. All right, and then let's look at Google. So once you have a Google account, you want to click on Drive, and here is where all the files are. So you can see for one of the quizzes I created on educational technology, it is in a spreadsheet here. And I can share that if I want to. If I wanted to collaborate with other colleagues, I can share via link. Right now it's private. I just have to click on these blue buttons here, and I could change it to public if I wanted anyone to view it. Then I could share the link with them. Or I could just invite people via email and enter their names here. Another feature I really like about this tool, presentations. You can create PowerPoint presentations, and this is great if you are concerned about not having access to your personal computer. They're all saved on the drive. You can create surveys. Here's a survey I created for teachers about their confidence in teaching. It creates the scale for you. Easy to put in. You can just duplicate each question. That way you don't have to write over the scale over and over again. Once you finish creating the scale, the survey, you can share that. You would just click on this form right here, send form, enter names. If you wanted to share it to everybody that you're friends with, you could send it to Facebook. And then it will collect the responses for you and summarize them as well. Pretty handy. So those are some really quick Google tools. Well, I hope you enjoyed our Unit 3 presentation. Feel free to email me. Use our virtual classroom board if you have questions related to this unit's presentation.